Perfect. With that, I want to thank our sponsors. So we have our series sponsors, Advanced Professionals Insurance and Benefit Solutions and Business Health Trust. And we have Mei-Ling Slaughter here with us this morning from Advanced Professionals, who has a few opening remarks for you.
Thanks, Lee. Hi, everyone. My name is Mei-Ling Slaughter, and I'm with Advanced Professionals Insurance and Benefit Solutions. Our practice is the Wholesale Benefits Division of Newfront, a growing insurance brokerage that is located right down the street from the Seattle Chamber offices. Our division works specifically with small businesses, providing employee benefits through associations such as the Seattle Chamber. Through this unique partnership, Seattle Chamber members have access to robust and affordable health insurance through a program called Business Health Trust. Whether you have 2 employees or more than 100, Business Health Trust can help you create a benefits program that attracts talent and keeps your employees healthy and productive at a budget you can afford. Business Health Trust offers exclusive choices from major regional carriers, including Premera Blue Cross and Kaiser Permanente. And we offer employee benefits that go beyond health insurance, such as a 401k and other retirement resources, an employee discount program through Passport Corporate, and HR benefits through ArchBright. If you'd like to learn more about Business Health Trust, please visit businesshealthtrust.com. Thank you for your time and enjoy today's executive speaker series.
Thank you so much. Always love having you open our events. And thank you again to our sponsors. So now it's time for the program. I will introduce our moderator, Karen Thomas, and then she and our panelists will take it from there. So Karen is an architect and the regional managing principal and corporate board director for Gensler, the world's largest architecture and design firm. And she's here today in her role as part of the Seattle Sports Commission. She's a recent past chairman. So she works with our professional sports franchises, university athletics, the mayor's office, and the governor to place our region and state as a world-class home to sports and sporting events, not only for the significant economic impact, but for what she believes is one of the greatest community makers in our cities and society. Karen has been involved with the bid committees for the FIFA World Cup, the MLB All-Star Game, among many other NCAA events and new franchise transitions. She's a sports to business mentor for many young, as well as experienced elite athletes, and is a constant champion of women leaders in sports in our Puget Sound region. So with that, Karen, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. Can you all see me okay? Because for some reason I can't see myself again.
You look fine.
Oh, but I'm live on a camera somewhere?
Yes.
Oh, good. All right. Well, hello to everyone. There I am. It's always a challenge on these Zoom calls. You would think after a few years we'd have this down, but we are rolling with it. So thank you so much, Lee, for the invitation. And I'm so excited to be here. It's a real pleasure to be here with our panel today. And I just wanted to open up with a few kind of just general remarks about what we have here in Seattle and our sports community. I just believe we are so fortunate to be in the Puget Sound region, in Seattle, in the state of Washington. It's just a terrific location for life in general, but sports in particular, it has such a stronghold here. And my passion around it comes from a very, very deep belief that sports, art, and culture are really all interwoven into creating, you know, a foundation for a much more rich and vibrant society. And I think with the overwhelming acceleration of business, the speed of technology, the transactions and such change that we have going on in the world right now, that we have to actually work at enriching what brings us together as a full community. I think this is in celebration of our humanity and will set up the world for decades and decades to come in a much stronger, greater way. So I do believe that sports is, you know, absolutely an underpinning for great urban centers and for society at large. So sports is good. That's a saying we like to use around the Seattle Sports Commission all the time. It's good for building community. It's good for our economy. It's good for our youth. It's, you know, it's great for putting attention on health and wellness and attention on the much needed equity in our world. It's good for our spirit. And of course, it's a place of great fun. So food for the soul, for sure. I think it's also an interesting thing that it's one of those things that we can actually get into an elevator with a stranger wearing a ball cap and leave the elevator saying, "Go Hawks," or "Did you see the game last night?" You know, it's just a level setter for us in our community. And for that, I spend a lot of time and energy making sure that we contribute to this. Sports is certainly an economic driver for the region. This is big business. Strong investments in our facilities and city's infrastructure is creating a really strong buzz around our city right now. The light rail expansion, the waterfront development, the new convention center opening up this coming January, the new international arrivals facility at SeaTac, along with our sports franchises and the Sports Commission, we are truly transforming the city, as I said earlier, for decades to come. I think another, a great example of sports impact was just this last December when we had the Battle in Seattle, as it was called. And this was, the Hawks had a game that night where they were paired with Gonzaga hoops going on and Comic-Con. But it delivered the highest weekend in hotel occupancy in Seattle since before the pandemic. So after 2 years, it was a cool rainy weekend in December, and we literally filled our hotels to an all-time high for the last couple of years to over 80% capacity. And tremendous economic impact lies ahead of us. If we are successful in the upcoming announcement with FIFA World Cup, the economic analysis indicates that just a 4-match series would actually bring over 700 million in economic impact to a city such as Seattle. And another example of that is an NFL draft, which we are also in queue for. A lot of people are very excited about that. This has become a huge event on its own. It's now generating over 135 million in direct spending alone. That was reported out of Nashville. And it's bringing in over 600,000 fans over 3 days. A Super Bowl generates well over $1 billion in economic impact. So we've all worked to be ready for these world-class events and now have the attention of the organizers and have been deemed as destination ready. So super exciting to see all that coming. This is the next decade really is groundbreaking and really solidly planting us on the world map for sports. We have looked at all of the events that we have coming up, and it's over $10 billion in economic impact on the docket. And working along with Sports Commission, the governor's and mayor's offices, with all of our franchises and universities, we've created this framework to attract and deliver on these major events. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what that might look like as we close out today. But going back for just a moment now, looking at these last couple of years, we've endured empty stadiums, we've canceled games, we played through the mask mandates and capacity limits. And now what we're really focused on is shining as a world-class sports destination. And even in this quiet period over the last couple of years, we had a game changer come online for us in Climate Pledge Arena. This is a transformed facility. I hope many of you have already been out to see the new arena. But taking us from the days of the Seattle Exposition now to a state-of-the-art facility for the future that brought the NHL back. Yes, we were here with the NHL before 100 years ago in the 1920s, so truly a full circle moment. But it's also now given the Seattle Storm champions a proper and deserving home. The Oakview Group, OVG, who developed the repositioning of the arena, now have over 200 event nights per year scheduled for Climate Pledge. This is an enormous uplift on our local economy, and we now have a multi-purpose arena for sports, for music. It's going to be an attraction for the many NCAA championships that we're currently bidding on. And yes, we hopefully will see the return of our beloved Sonics in the near future. So sports leadership is also exceptional in the community. And I don't want to go without introducing just the notion of this before we jump into our panel. Seattle is home to 7 professional sports franchises. The Storm, OL Reign Soccer, returning this year to play in Lumen Field. The Kraken, Seawolves Rugby, of course, the Mariners, Sounders, Seahawks. Our Division I university athletics at UW and Seattle U and SPU are in a highly competitive collegiate landscape. and are an integral part of our community sports world. I personally take so much pride in the women and the diverse leadership at the helm of our franchises and in our university athletics. Katie Griggs, the highest level executive in the MLB, now co-president at the Seattle Mariners. Alicia, president and CEO, and with a fully owned, women-owned team at the Storm. The rarest of rare is a female athletic director at D1 institutions. We actually have two of them right here in Seattle, with Jen Cohn at UW and Shani Fink over at Seattle U. We have women athletes that are on the world stage. They are world champions, Olympic champions, using their talents both on the court and off the court for positive change. Thinking of Sue Bird, Megan Rapinoe. Maya has taken on the role of COO at the Sounders. The Kraken, Mari, are showing up big time with over 45% of their entire front office being female, and having Cami, the only female pro scout in the NHL. And of course, Jody Allen now chairing the Seahawks with a C-suite filled with Karen, Cindy, Amy, and others. Women and men of color are populating our leadership ranks and are walking the walk. I think all of us can be super proud of our community of sports. There's an incredible chapter being made in history right here, right now in Seattle, and the world comes, as they come to see us in the coming years, we'll see it too. So with that, I would love to jump into a conversation with our three panelists today, all wonderful, wonderful people and good friends. I'll introduce each of them as we get started here, if you all want to come on camera. So let's start off with Mari Harita with the Seattle Kraken. Hi, Mari. Mari is a Senior VP of Social Impact and External Affairs for the Seattle Kraken and Executive Director of One Roof Foundation. Mari leads the development and implementation of social impact, philanthropic, and DE&I vision and strategy for both the Seattle Kraken and Climate Pledge Arena. Prior to joining the Kraken, you may remember Mari as president and CEO of Arts Fund, where she oversaw the organization's strategic transition to better represent and serving the evolving population and arts community in the Puget Sound region. Welcome and thank you, Mari. Next up, we have Crystal Langhorn. Hi, Crystal. Crystal is the Director of Community Engagement for Force for Change. This is Seattle Storm's social justice platform. And Crystal's passion for social justice is the driving force that helps her create impact in the community. Prior to working at the Storm's front office, Crystal was, in fact, a player in the WNBA for 13 years and won 2 WNBA championships with the Seattle Storm. She holds a degree in communications from the University of Maryland. Welcome, Crystal. And then to round out our group with Fred. Hi, Fred. Fred Rivera is the Executive VP and General Counsel for the Seattle Mariners. Fred joined the Mariners in 2017 from Perkins Coie Law Firm, where he served as the Seattle office managing partner. In addition to overseeing the Mariners' legal affairs, Fred is responsible for the team's community impact and philanthropic efforts, government affairs, and real estate development. Fred previously served as a trial attorney in the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Department of Justice and vice president at Fannie Mae. He's on numerous boards, including the Heritage Financial Corporation and Heritage Bank and OAC. He serves with many of us on several nonprofit and business organization boards, including the United Way, the Legal Foundation of Washington, Association of Washington Business, and Downtown Seattle Association. We're very proud to have Fred as the past president of the Latino Bar Association of Washington and regional president of the Hispanic National Bar Association. So welcome to you, Fred, and Mari and Crystal. Thank you all so much for being with us today. I know personally how overextended all three of you are, so it's extra special that you're being able to join us and lend your thoughts around sports and the opportunities we have ahead of us. So with that, let's jump in. We've got a number of topics that we would love to discuss with you all, but I think it would be great if we could just start with a little bit about your organization and where it is right now and how you see it fitting into the entire Seattle sports ecosystem, as I would call it. Fred, why don't we lead off with you and the Mariners? This is a leadoff hit Fred, that we're starting with.
Leadoff batter. Thank you, Karen, for the introduction, and thank you to the Chamber for the invitation to talk about sports in our region. Of the 7 professional sports franchises that Karen mentioned, we're the second oldest in Seattle, behind the Seahawks, who launched in 1976. We launched in 1977 at the Kingdome, and have proudly been in Seattle ever since. Signed a new lease to remain in T-Mobile Park for an additional 25 years in 2018. So we're proud to call Seattle our home, and will be for a while. A couple of factoids about our organization. We, like most professional sports franchises, are relatively small. We have around 300 full-time employees, including our coaching staff, both professional at the major league level and in the minor leagues and instructional leagues. So we're not very large, and that means that we all do a little bit of everything within our organization. We also are the Major League Baseball team with the largest region that's we're assigned to, or is our responsibility, and from which we can generate revenues. Not only do we cover Washington and Oregon, but also Idaho, Alaska, parts of Utah are all within our region, just because of the way the geography lies. Last point I'll make is that we really are a sports and entertainment and facility company. We have a number of different business lines. In addition to playing games on the field, we also manage T-Mobile Park, so we're responsible for booking concerts that occur here. We have over 300 events outside of baseball that occur here, from nonprofit fundraisers to corporate meetings and other similar events that occur here. We're also the majority owner of Root Sports Network. We own 71% of that, and that takes up a lot of our business time as well. So there's different facets to our business, and we're expanding even further, and I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Thank you. That's terrific. All kinds of exciting things going on. Mari, what's happening with the Kraken?
Well, I'm not quite as old as Fred. We are, I mean the team. I'm representing the team.
Wow.
We're the new kids on the block. I'm sure many of you know the Seattle Kraken is the 32nd and newest franchise in the NHL. We were approved by the league in December of 2018. We formed our team just last year. We completed building 2 facilities at the arena and our Seattle Center, and then back up at Northgate last year as well, to house both our front office, give our players a place to practice and to play, and also some rinks, community rinks. And then we just wrapped up our first season a couple of months ago. The arena, Climate Pledge Arena, is the name of the arena, but it is an Oakview Group, Seattle Kraken, Seattle Hockey Partners entity. And then the foundation, One Roof Foundation, is a 501c3 public charity nonprofit that serves as a philanthropic arm for both organizations. We're a freestanding, independent nonprofit. We have to raise our own funds, but we we'll talk about this later. What we're focused on is really derives from what the team and the arena are trying to do. I think we're about 100 people smaller than you, Fred. I learned a lot about the Mariners just now. About 100 people smaller, so we're definitely doing a bunch of things as well. And in addition to the team and the Storm playing at Climate Pledge Arena, we have, I think we're hoping for about 80 to 100 concerts a year. Obviously, this year is a little shy of that since COVID, but it is a very activated building.
That's terrific. Mari, we are so happy to have you in that organization, and you've always been such a champion in the community, and now having you part of Climate Pledge and part of the Kraken is truly a gift to all of us. So exciting to see you there. Crystal, you are sharing a home with Mari, roommates at Climate Pledge Arena and the Storm. Fill us in on the Storm and what's happening.
Yes, as Mari mentioned, we're playing in the new Climate Pledge Arena, which has been tremendous for our players. And as an organization, we're women-led, as you mentioned, Karen. Without our ownership group, we don't even know if we would have a team in Seattle anymore. When the Sonics moved, we didn't know what was going to happen to the Storm, but Jenny Gilder, Lisa Brummel, and Don Trudeau, who are our owners, really bought in and they wanted to keep the team in Seattle. So right now we have our championship organization. Our team's playing great. We're also building a practice facility. I'll get into that a little bit later. But in addition to that, with Climate Pledge, it's just a great time to be a Seattle Storm fan, and we're continuing to build a championship organization.
Wonderful. Thank you to all three of you for those opening comments. You know, I was thinking something that would be, I think, of interest to our audience today is to really look at the facilities that you all are living in, but also the neighborhoods that you are clearly defining and affecting as well. I was thinking that let's chat first on the facilities themselves, and maybe get a reaction from Mari and then Crystal on, Mari, your first year at Climate Pledge and what it meant to the team, what it meant to the new organization, what it meant to the fans and the players. Just kind of your first impressions of being there in that facility.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And Karen, you touched on this, but our building the arena is happening in the context of a lot bigger issues happening in society, you know, and you and Fred and I'm sure Crystal and many at the Storm and our organizations are part of the Chamber and part of the Downtown Seattle Association, and keenly aware of the challenges that we face as a city, and particularly the downtown core. As we look to come out of this pandemic, we need to do so in a way that is a more inclusive and sustainable rebuilding and recovery.
Mhm.
And as you mentioned, the teams play a huge role in that. And for us, the most audacious task certainly was trying to fix a decades-old problem, which was the outdated arena that seemed stuck forever because not everyone may know, but the roof is landmarked, which means you can't do anything to you. You can't adjust it. You can't certainly not destroy it. And you can't really even move it. And so for a while, everyone's like, well, you can't build a building up, you can't build it out, so there's nothing you can do. And so it started to languish. And I give Tim Lewicki, who's Todd's brother, a lot of credit. He's the biggest out-of-the-box thinker I ever met. And then obviously had it validated by some structural engineers to say, you know, it actually is possible to build a whole new structure, keep the roof in place by putting these temporary steel beams, building down 50 feet, building back up, reinstalling the permanent support structures. And so then you have a arena that's twice the size, a totally new building, as Crystal knows. And on top of that, what I love about it, it's a net zero, going to be the first net zero carbon arena, I think, in the world. And it's called Climate Pledge Arena. And Amazon agreed to the naming rights if we would call it Climate Pledge Arena and also live that mantra. And so to create a net zero carbon arena to raise awareness of the issue. So that's like, I love that piece of it, that it's not just a building, it stands for something. It's not just a, you know, I mean, at most the time companies are putting their names on it and their condition was, we won't do it unless you don't put our name on it. And we want you to highlight this issue. So that's really cool. It's been, as you said, it's a beautiful place to play in. It's a great vibe, you know, with all the Amazon Go, the walkouts, just walk out. Like we're trying to, as we say, declare a war online so that the user experience is number one. So it's no small miracle that we opened on time. Definitely not on budget, but we did open on time. I think the day before, like no joke, the day before the first.
Yeah,
concert.
literally.
Yeah, there were wires hanging from the ceiling the day before. I'm like, do these attach to anything? But we opened, and obviously we're continuing to make adjustments. We just had our 1,000th visitor, which is pretty great. And as you said, we're driving tons of business to restaurants, stores, and parking lots, and other retailers in the vicinity. So it's been an awesome experience. And I'll just make really quickly. Also, we invested in a number of local artists to create the public art around the arena, which was also one of my jobs because there was only 4 people working there, and so they said go to the department. So it's been great.
Yeah, no, it's spectacular. I mean, just as you were saying, you know, it's with the Climate Pledge commitment and the manifestation of it in the arena itself with the net zero and that, it is walking the walk and absolutely setting a precedent for other arenas and other cities to follow. I also love in the arena, you know, for all of you who have gone in now, you know, you recognize the original landmark. You see it in the roof, you see it in the structural supports on the outside. But when you walk in, it has been transformed. It's a wow moment when you get inside. And I've been able to not only attend sporting events there, but have attended music events there and talk about a musical experience. The acoustics and sound for music is just phenomenal. So it's super exciting. Crystal, tell us maybe a little bit about the emotional side of the Storm, being booted out for a couple of years and then suddenly arriving back into a brand new home. What has that done for?
Yeah, it's just been a tremendous boost. I'll say, I played in Key Arena for 6 years or 5 years. It depends with the pandemic, but we all love Key Arena, but it was time to create a new arena. And for the Storm, we played in Everett, we played at UW, just when Climate Pledge was being created, was being built. And we played in a bubble season in Florida. So we were out of the city for 2-3 years. And when Climate Pledge was built and for the players to come back, of course, I wasn't able, to play in Climate Pledge, but to see this new arena, I know, I just missed it, but the arena is gorgeous. I've spoken to some people. I believe it is the best arena in the country. It is just tremendous what they've done. It's been amazing to see. And I know the players have just been extremely excited to play there. Just something that's been invested for women's sports for our players has been tremendous to see.
Yeah, well, that's so exciting. And Fred, sticking on the facility itself side of things for a minute, there's all kinds of ongoing renovations and new experiences being made at T-Mobile Park as well. And a lot that got done to shift the fan experience during the pandemic as well. Can you share some of those things that are happening?
We, believe it or not, T-Mobile Park is the 14th oldest ballpark in Major League Baseball out of 30. We're no longer the new kid on the block, and with that comes some responsibility and requirements to upgrade it and keep it modern. I mentioned earlier we signed a new lease with the Public Facility District, which is the public owner of T-Mobile Park, for a 25-year extension, and part of that included an obligation that the Mariners maintain T-Mobile Park as one of the top 10 in Major League Baseball. So we need to be one of the top third, and that means not only keeping it clean and operable and keeping the elevators running, but it also means economically viable, and that the experiences that fans encounter when they come to T-Mobile Park are some of the best in Major League Baseball. So that's the foundation and grounding for all the work we've done within the ballpark. We started in 2019, which was the first year of our new lease, with a number of improvements to really create shared experiences within the ballpark. Created something called the boardwalk on the 300 level that looks like a boardwalk and has just some amazing views out towards the sound. It has the festival lighting, so it looks beautiful on a summer night as well. And we installed TV monitors there. So while it doesn't have a view to the field of play, folks can enjoy a beer, watch the game, and also enjoy a sunset over Puget Sound. We did a couple other gathering spots like that around the ballpark. Unfortunately, fans couldn't experience in 2020, so they first experienced it in 2021 and again this year. More recently, we announced a number of upgrades to some of our premium spots. The Diamond Club, which currently exists, will be upgraded and expanded. We're also creating a new viewing spot where the current press box is, right behind home plate. That's just going to be one of the best viewing experiences in baseball. It's right above home plate. It's just a great spot to watch the game, and also is going to have some premium F&B experiences within it. All those will be open before we host the All-Star game in 2023. We'll continue to improve the ballpark over the next several years to make sure that we meet that top 10 standard. We're traveling actually to a number of ballparks with the PFD this year to compare our ballpark to others. We were in Miami and Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, and we're very favorably impressed with T-Mobile Park against Miami and even against Atlanta, which is a 3-year-old ballpark. We very much hold our own and want to continue to do that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Just tell me, Fred, is the Ichiro going to come back or not? I'm missing my sushi Ichiro.
You know, we have poke. We have a delicious poke
Oh,
spot
that is
that is
good.
where the old sushi place is. And we have Marination Nation is in as well. So you can get a little bit of that flavor, but the Ichi roll may be a thing of the past.
All right, it'll be a legacy memory for me. How about that? Well, let's go a little bit out further now, thinking about the facilities and the arenas and the stadiums. Really these are becoming markers for us in actually furthering and redefining the urban fabric, and creating new districts. And maybe Fred, if you want to keep going for a minute here, I would love to just talk about how the Mariners are thinking about that whole SoDo neighborhood and how you see the real estate and development plans emerging over the next couple of years there.
I think we come out at our neighborhood in a couple of different ways. Number one, we want our fan experience to start days, weeks, months before they actually attend a game. And that's when they buy a ticket. We want them to be excited about coming to the game. On the day of the game, we want them to start thinking about and experiencing different parts of the event when they get in their car or on a bus or on light rail. And then when they arrive in our neighborhood, we also want them to experience that excitement and the sights and smells and sounds of coming to a professional baseball game in a community gathering spot. So that's our goal. And the question is, how do we do that? Around the neighborhood, we need to improve, revitalize it in a number of different ways. And one way that we look at it is, how can we turn our in-stadium experience outside? So essentially turning that experience inside out from the ballpark out, with food and beverage offerings, with open space, with pedestrian-friendly walkways to get around. And so we are looking at different ways we can do that, both with some property that we own or control in the neighborhood, but also partnering with some landowners to see if they're interested in coming along and creating a great stadium district experience that will also include Lumen Field just to our south, and what they've done, or what Pioneer Square has done and has continued to do to create a great day of game experience. You see the Sounders in the March to the Match. So there's definitely that fan desire to really experience the game before they get within the four corners. So we've started some development at the old Pyramid Brewery just to the west of T-Mobile Park. We leased that spot from the Hill family, which has owned that building for decades. And we're turning that into a new restaurant, a brewery, and then an outdoor beer garden, similar to what Pyramid had run. And we expect to open that actually in as little as 8 weeks. We'll open that up and start to experience that. And so that's our first step of just creating some excitement around the stadium, and we hope to expand that to some other spots as well.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I think that whole area in SoDo can become such a rich, sports, entertainment, retail, part of the cruise industry. That whole thing can just really start to flourish as a district, and then start the further looking at SoDo as a whole as a true mixed use district down here. So very excited with what you all are taking on and starting to develop in real time. Mari and Crystal, maybe to both of you for just a minute, looking at the Kraken's arrival and the repositioning of the stadium or the arena there, how do you see it redefining Seattle Center? What is kind of that new look and feel, and how does it go out beyond the borders of that neighborhood? What do you see happening there?
Yeah, I would say just the revitalization of small businesses. I think when there was an arena for 2 years, the pandemic, everything was slowed down. Businesses struggled a little bit. And now with the Kraken playing there, us with the Storm concerts, it just brings a lot more to the area again. Business can thrive just with so many games and so many activities going on. I know the fans have been extremely excited for the team to be back in town. So just to go be able to grab a meal before the game, just in that area, is going to change so many things.
Yeah, I
They-
totally agree. And we really needed that, as you said, with everything that's happened in the last 2.5 years. And then beyond that, the Kraken made a multi-million-dollar investment in the monorail to try to increase usability, I guess. So both at Westlake and then at the Seattle Center. And I think between a quarter and a third of our attendees now arrive by monorail, which is our goal to encourage public transportation along with the whole climate pledge sustainability focus, and also to help mitigate traffic impacts for the neighborhood. Because I think way back when, the two biggest questions are what's your name and how are you going to manage traffic? And knock on wood, but so far it seems like it's not nearly as much of a burden on the neighborhood as was feared. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the intention behind getting people there in different ways and trying to be really efficient in how we're communicating that. We're also making some investments. We, as I mentioned, did a public art investment around the arena. And then in addition to that, we are funding the city and the Office of Arts and Culture every year for 10 years to activate around the arena and the Seattle Center grounds with local artists to showcase their art and again, activate the Seattle Center in other ways. And then just really quickly at Northgate, Fred's got the south end covered. So we went up north to create
You're looking for new territory?
Yeah. He said, you're not welcome here, go somewhere else. So we went up north and we just built, I think I mentioned we completed in September, a 169,000 square foot facility, which is where our front office works, which is where the team practices. And we also have, 3 total sheets of ice. The first in Seattle, the team practices on one, and then the other 2 are our community rinks. And I believe, I may have mentioned this, but we have had about 800,000 people come through. And so clearly there's a need, we didn't exist, but it's like you build it, will people come, and they've come. And so this is just we're the anchor tenant, and there'll be more development happening around us. But in addition to the economic piece though, Karen, as you mentioned, and it's a community gathering place, just as is with the Mariners and all the redevelopment they're doing. And I feel like we've lost a lot of the much needed social cohesion these past few years. And so going to games, coming to skate, just spending time with others, as you mentioned, from different walks of life in this one shared experience is a really key part of restoring that cohesion in our overall revitalization.
Yeah, it's really tremendous. Sports is truly defining, these neighborhoods, and as you say, Mari, the interconnectivity of community. It's just been phenomenal, even in such a short time in Seattle Center, for instance. Right now, I'm personally seeing the 18-hour activity going on down there. And I know then, in the next year or two, we're just going to see that become richer and richer and even more vibrant in that area. In my day job, I'm, as an architect and development in that, we have a lot of projects that are actually coming up in retail and hospitality and entertainment, office, even mid-rise office and mixed use projects that are all being planned around that Seattle Center. So I think we'll see that continued up in Northgate as well, as you were saying, where we will see it become a centroid for others to come in and create another center and another neighborhood center, just as I was saying down in Soto as well. So very excited about what we'll see, and things that are being very thoughtfully planned. So excited about that as well. Would love to switch topics for us here for just a few minutes. Wanting to talk, a little bit more about, obviously sports is good for all the reasons we've been talking about, but the extension of our sports platform is what is really phenomenal. And I would love for the 3 of you to talk a few minutes about how you are all using, and your teams are using, the franchises are using sports in its initiatives around community impact, around diversity and inclusion, even in getting out there and representing the underrepresented communities. It's a crucial part of our region's economic recovery, and putting forth the kind of revitalization that we all want to be a part of in this region. So maybe if we can talk a little bit about what each of you are doing. I would love to start with you, Crystal, on this one, because the storm has actually been so focused on this for many years, and some of the initiatives that you've had going on have been going on for many, many years. So maybe you could share a little bit of what you see happening right now.
Yeah, so we created our social justice platform, First for Change, in 2020. And we have a focus of 4 pillars that we focus on: voting, education, and legislation, amplification of Black women, supporting BIPOC communities and BIPOC youth, and then supporting the LGBTQ plus community. So we go about this in a variety of ways. Voting is a huge emphasis for us this year, not only just with the storm, but with the WNBA as a whole. And one of the special things that we do with Force for Change is that we invest into the organizations that are leading the way in these spaces. So we're working with the ACLU of Washington, and then we're also working with Common Power, their organization that educates young people on the importance of civic engagement. And we'll be investing into both of those organizations. And then just with the gun violence that has been going on, we're also investing into Everytown, their organization that is trying to end gun violence. So we're also investing into that organization as well. And then we also, another way that we work in Force for Change is we work with our corporate partners, because like we said, we're a small organization. We don't have unlimited funds where we can put money everywhere. So we have our corporate partners we work with to invest into nonprofits that we believe are doing great work. So one of our biggest initiatives is our Stats for Youth program. It's where let's say we hit a certain amount of threes or free throws, rebounds, blocks, and assists. We actually have 5 of them this year. We then work with different corporate partners to then invest into nonprofits that support BIPOC youth. So that's been a huge initiative for us. And then our biggest initiative is our Kicks for Equality campaign. It's where our players wear custom designed shoes with whatever social justice messaging they would like on the shoe. We work with, this year we're working with a Mexican-American artist. She's been great designing the shoes. The shoes look tremendous. The players will be wearing
fantastic.
Yeah, and everyone's a sneakerhead now. So it's just a really, it's a big campaign for us. And the players will be wearing the shoes on Juneteenth. And then we have an auction. And in addition to the auction, we get investments from our corporate partners again. And then we invest into a nonprofit. This year, we're investing into the Black Future Co-op Fund. And that was the organization that our players chose. So it's just a tie-in of everything we do. We have the players involved, our front office, corporate partners. I'm really trying to make change in the community.
Yeah, well, seriously, we are so, proud of what you're doing, Crystal, and what the storm represents and all of that work. It's truly phenomenal. So thank you for all of that. Fred and Mari, I know inclusion and diversity are big parts of your organization as well. Maybe Fred, if you want to talk a little bit about the core values and where the Mariners are doubling down in these areas over the last couple of years and going forward.
Our work in the community starts with the mission of our organization, and that's to win championships, to create unforgettable experiences, and to serve our community. And so those 3 elements all are a priority for us. And in serving our community, we've identified 3 pillars that we want to focus on. One, because we're a baseball team, is to promote access to baseball and softball and all the physical and mental and developmental benefits of playing organized sports. So we spend a lot of time in developing programs, in executing programs, and providing grants to other organizations who have similar missions to expand access to baseball and softball. Second is to promote social justice and racial equity. There's a number of ways we do it. We do have a grant process. We have $1 million that we are going to give to organizations and grants over the next 3 years, and we're about $150,000 into that. We've given to small organizations such as Choose 180, You Grow Girl, and larger organizations such as the University of Washington School of Business for their minority business executive program. And then the third pillar is to support our community to be healthy and vibrant, so all members of the community can thrive. And that's a bit of a catch-all, and it depends on what we think the community can use our assets for. And our assets are not are not always money. In fact, they're usually not money. It often is using our voice and our whether it's our social media platforms or using our players to highlight an issue, to highlight an organization that's doing great work in our community, or whatever comes to our attention. And so we, over the last couple of weeks, like many, we've been focusing on gun violence in our country and the tragedies we've experienced now over decades by first just making sure that facts are known, and how gun violence impacts our communities. And we've also partnered with an office within the Commerce Department in the state who's doing research and policy work in this area. So we'll continue to look for opportunities to support that third pillar of creating a healthy and vibrant community.
Thank you, Fred. Thanks for all of your work, also personally, as well as the Mariners. The dedication of all three of you is what we need. We need leaders stepping forward to make a difference. Mari, I remember, this is years ago now, sitting with Todd Leiweke one day as he was starting to plan for the Kraken and setting up the organization. And, he said to me, we're actually going to lead this organization with our community values. And I was so impressed with that. It wasn't about the NHL. It wasn't about hockey. He was so focused on setting up from the very beginning, the values that you all continue to drive, and it's part of your integrated strategy. So I'd love to hear more about that, and maybe a little bit more about the One Roof Foundation as
Sure.
well.
No, thanks for asking. And yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what Todd was leading with. I think I was one of the first 10 hires, and I didn't apply for the job. I didn't know there was a job. I still don't have a job description, but we got to talking about Arts Fund, Karen, and what I had done there. And he called me back and said, will you work for us and build out this whole social impact vision and strategy? And I think, as you've heard, obviously all the teams in Seattle are pretty special organizations and trying to leverage our platforms to uplift and unite our community. What's different about us is we're entering the space at a different time. And so both as an organization, we're starting from scratch. So we're creating our culture now versus 30 or 40 years ago. And there's a lot of different issues that are at the forefront immediately that we have create both an obligation and an opportunity for us to look at with fresh eyes. So, and then the other piece I would mention is, and this is no secret, hockey hasn't historically been a super representative sport, and that gives us another both opportunity and obligation as we build a hockey culture in the Pacific Northwest to redefine that from day one, so that as we move forward, everyone knows that this is in fact a sport for everyone, and certainly that the Kraken organization, that our foundation, and then the arena are places for everyone. So the team's been super focused on inclusion and representation, as you mentioned, including how we've hired, including kind of trying to create pipelines through a partnership with the Mariners and the other teams in Seattle University to get more representation in students interested in sports and entertainment. It means hiring diverse artists to create work at the arena, at KCI, and for various projects. And I think 50% of the artists, more than 50% of the artists we have hired are BIPOC. And it also means, as everyone said, using our platform and megaphone to raise awareness and inspire action around a lot of important issues. And so the foundation, One Roof Foundation, is kind of the E part of the DE&I, and it's really more focused on the equity piece, the community-centered lens in the work that we do, and acknowledging that there have been these systems and narratives and policies forever that have excluded and discriminated against certain groups of people, often along racial lines. And so we are really trying to press forward on the belief that, if anyone's not okay, then none of us are okay, that issues like racism and youth homelessness and inequity of opportunity are all of our problems, and they affect all of us, and we need to lean in to fix those things. And so the three pillars we have, Fred talked about his pillars, are helping to end youth homelessness in this region, primarily through a partnership with Youth Care, but beyond that, increasing obviously access to hockey and to sport and opportunity for historically marginalized and minoritized youth and families. And then the last is advancing environmental justice work, acknowledging that while it's a global issue, climate change is global, both the causes and impacts are hyper local and burden certain communities much more than others. And so just really quickly, we also know, we're not the experts in any of those areas. And so we've been trying to work with experts from the beginning, whether it's youth care, and the Rakes Foundation, frankly, is probably the leader in the space in youth homelessness from the region. So we reached out to them right away, and they've been incredibly generous with their time to help us learn about the issue. We created a task force of primarily BIPOC leaders in both youth sports as well as environmental justice work, to hear from them what the issues are, to hear from them what we should be doing to help guide us as we move forward in this. And so, we're just getting started, but we're trying to go deep rather than go wide. As Fred mentioned, we don't have a lot of money either, so we're trying to figure out what's the greatest impact we can have with the resources we have. But it's been a really awesome partnership so far.
Yeah, I'm going to pick up on something you said, Mari, and certainly your commitment is being felt as well. But, you just used the phrase, we all need to lean in together. And I think that's actually a hallmark of our sports community here in Seattle. No franchise, no university program, nobody's working in isolation. We're a really tight knit community that are all working and as I say, rowing in the same direction on all of this. And I don't know if any of the three of you want to comment on that. But I feel it day to day that everybody is working together to drive this forward. Mari, I would even say, actually, the other day, I'm going to tee you up specifically, because the other day you said, well, we are the microcosm of a larger society. And that common ground, if we can establish it, it's how we're going to move forward, is when we link arms to do this.
Yeah, and really quickly, and then I want to hear Crystal and Fred, because they are, I'm a newcomer in this field, and people like Fred and Maya, who you mentioned, and others have been in the field for a long time, and I've had so much respect for them over the years. And so really learning from them, and that's been a big part of, I think, what makes this field great. But yeah, all the teams work together. We are each doing, as I hope has come across, our own individual things that make sense for us and our different focus areas. But then we come together on issues of voting, of gun violence, of, we're all marching together in pride. We talk a lot. And I think, as you mentioned, Karen, this is, it is a microcosm. We're just one industry, but maybe it makes the argument that, we could, as a society, more effectively address some of these persistent issues and problems that we've been working on for decades, and we've thrown hundreds of millions of dollars at, if we did so, in the same room versus 20 different rooms and approaches, and trying to get credit. It's not about, the Mariners are doing a better job of X. It's more like, are we collectively solving for this bigger problem?
Yeah, exactly. Fred, Crystal, any thoughts on that, of just working in unison?
Yeah, I will say, I will actually compare it to the bubble season we called it in 2020, where we had the chance of all the WNBA teams were in this one location. And our communication was improved so much because we were all there, and we got so much done in that year because, we were working together. And that's really what we want to do as a community in Seattle as well. I mean, the more communication you have, the more impact you can have in the community as well.
And the Seattle Sports Commission has done a great job of connecting the teams on common issues at different levels. I think there's also an underlying tactical relationship we've all developed about things like transportation, safety, that we all benefit from as teams, but also it benefits the city and the region. And so I think that that understanding of the collective good, it really drives the relationships and some of the good work we've been able to do.
Yeah, I think that's right. There was a Friday morning call throughout the entire pandemic where we had all the franchises on the phone together. We were doing the Region Ready conferences where we had Dow Constantine in the room with us, the mayor's office with us, police department with us, really talking about what we have to, get resolved and get fixed as we start moving forward in the explosion of events and exciting times ahead of us. So I'm very thankful to be part of this community for sure. I'm going to do one quick plug for Crystal, and then we're going to wrap up with a little bit of what's to come. Crystal, the plug I want to do for you is a very exciting game you all have coming up at the Seattle Storm on June 23rd for everyone to mark their calendars to go get a ticket. It'll be a great game itself. I think it's the Washington Mystics, maybe, that'll be in town that night. But is that right? I think that is. But the really important part of it is actually the 50th anniversary of the passing of Title IX for equity for all in sports. And it's going to be a great celebration night and a lot of activities going on before and after the game. So I am going to be so excited to be there to celebrate that. And many of you may or may not know that actually started, Title IX started with a beloved attorney here in Seattle. And so she'll be there that evening as well. So June 23rd, if you want to join us for that. Wrapping it up, what's to come? There is so much in the works. June 16th is another day to mark on your calendars. We are waiting for the FIFA World Cup announcements to happen on that day. It is going to be broadcast at 2 p.m. live on Fox. It has taken years. It has taken our entire community supporting the Sounders to go after this bid. So we're super excited to hear if we are going to be one of the final selected host cities. And I'm telling you, Pier 62 is the place to be after that announcement should it be successful. We're going to all go down and do some jumping and high-fiving and kick off what will ultimately be a fan village area for us down at Pier 62. So exciting on that. We're on the heels of that. We're bidding on the Rugby World Cup for just 5 years after the World Cup of soccer. That's for both men's and women's. We've got the All-Star game coming up, Fred. That's coming really fast, a year from now, and maybe just a couple of minutes or a minute really fast on what that's going to mean to our community. Some big changes coming with that All-Star game.
It is, and it's All-Star Week now, the way Major League Baseball has produced the event. So it'll start. The game is played on a Tuesday. On Monday is the home run derby, and on Sunday there's a Futures All-Star game. So those are the core events. There's also a celebrity softball game built in there, but there'll be concerts. There'll be art installations and events. The Dodgers are hosting it this year. They're having yoga on the beach. Our emphasis will be focusing on our environment and the water and the mountains. And so you can expect some events that are tied to the area we live in, the diversity of the area that we live in. We're really looking forward to hosting the world for a week next July.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Crystal, what's coming up? The Storm is off and running in their season. You had a great win last night.
We did have a great win last night. The team's actually heading out for a 5-game road swing. So some challenges ahead, but I think our team can handle it. We feel like our team, we have a championship team again this year, and we're expecting big things.
Yeah. Mari, what's next on the ice? We're just begun.
Yeah, right. But what isn't next? I mean, honestly, the biggest thing for us that we're looking forward to is finally integrating our team into the community. You know, we didn't get to do this past year because of COVID protocols, and that was really hard on the players. It was hard on the team, and it was definitely hard on the fans. And we're grateful to the fans. You know, we're newcomers, we're figuring a lot out, and we appreciate the grace afforded us. So as we move forward and continue to build the team, and the draft is coming up in a month in Montreal, and so next season, our guys will just be much more visible and active in the Seattle community.
Yeah, that's terrific. As if this isn't all enough, we've got AVP beach volleyball returning. As I was saying earlier, the NFL draft is squarely in our sights. We're looking at a WNBA All-Star game. We've got Major League Cricket knocking on our door. We're bidding on over 20 NCAA events, including men's and women's basketball. We've got the Olympic U.S. diving trials that we're looking at as well. And of course, we are all looking for an NBA return. So let's just say we are well positioned, excited about that. And just, the list goes on. So much ahead of us. I think we have probably just a few minutes for a couple of questions that while we have this terrific panel sitting with us, if we can take any questions. I see some of them are coming in chat, which is just fine. One of them was about the World Cup announcement. So yes, it is on June 16th, 2 o'clock live on Fox. That's where you'll find the announcement. And literally sitting here with rapid heart rate right now, waiting for that one. So please join us there and come on down to the waterfront afterwards. If we have reason to believe we may be celebrating that night. So we're really excited about it. Other questions? I think, oh, Rob Leslie put one in the chat here. Biggest headwinds facing your franchises. Does anyone want to take that on? And, you know, whether it's on the sports side of things or maybe the communities at large, what would you say are the biggest headwinds ahead of you?
I think it's no different than any other company of our size that's operating in our region. We're having workforce challenges, wage escalation, price escalation, supply chain challenges. Those are, I think, at the top of the list of the biggest business challenges that we have is the business climate and making sure we can continue to operate. You know, obviously on the field, we want to perform well, which helps drive our revenue as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with everything Fred said. And also for us as a startup, I guess we're still in that storming phase of organizational development, trying to get past through storming to norming. And like with every startup, everyone's just working so hard to get things done. And so then trying to say, okay, we're going to take a breath and we're looking back at last year and planning for next. But we have to figure out that balance because we don't want to, you know, burn people out. And as Fred said, the workforce is already a challenge overall. And so just being really mindful of all the things we have to accomplish and also taking care of our people first.
Yeah, I would agree. We're not exactly a startup, but the WNBA, we're still in our early stages and investments and believing in women is what we need. I mean, our ownership group, we've been able to begin to build our practice facility, the first of its kind, a practice facility solely for a WNBA team, but we still need to get more investments for people that believe in women's sports.
Terrific. Well, I think that is wrapping us up. I think we're right at our time right now. This has been all things in Seattle sports. It's just amazing, actually, what you all have packed into an hour of discussion here. Really appreciate and thank Mai Ling and Advanced Professional Insurance for sponsoring us today. And I just want to give a deep personal thank you to Mari and Fred and Crystal. You are all not only great business leaders, but truly phenomenal community leaders. You all lead with heart, you lead with grace. And with that, thank you to Leah and the Chamber for inviting us and sharing all of these thoughts and all of our excitement about what the future might hold. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you, thank you. And Karen, we actually have one question pop up here in the Q&A for you. Beth said, Karen, you said Olympics. Any future thoughts on that stage?
Well, a lot of the trials and that are what we're looking at. So I had mentioned the Olympic US diving trials. The Olympics themselves, there's been all kinds of discussion about what we will or won't be able to accommodate in Seattle and in this region. Vancouver right now continues to have a big catchment area for Olympics and Winter Olympics there. So it's certainly something that's still on the table. I can tell you that at one point we even discussed sharing a co-Olympics with the cities of Vancouver and Seattle. So that was some exciting conversation. It would be the first time that two nations actually co-hosted. But that was pre-pandemic. There's a lot more discussion to go, but for right now, it's mostly around the trials and preliminary Olympic events.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Karen, Fred, Crystal, Mari. such a great discussion. Thank you to our sponsors, Advanced Professionals Insurance and Benefit Solutions and Business Health Trust. And just a quick plug from me for the chamber. If you're not a member, we encourage you to check out the website and explore becoming a member, access to events like this, leaders like these. We do all sorts of great work in the community, and you can learn more about that. If you already are a member, still go to the website. It's new as of a few months ago. We redesigned it a little bit, so come check us out. Thank you again and have a great day.
Thank you all.